And then you look at someone like Bryson Stott, who, because of how well he's been playing defensively, I know Tyler and I spoke about it, you kind of overestimate what he's been providing. But offensively, Bryson Stott hasn't been great. And he's had moments, don't get me wrong. I think that's what's also deceiving is like there's moments where he'll have a flurry of home runs and RBIs and give you good at-bats. On the season, his batting average is a 235. He's got 6 home runs. He's got 42 RBIs and a .669 OPS. And I think those 6 home runs kind of came back-to-back with, what was it? He had back-to-back games.
When he got in the leadoff spot, he got like a little bit of juice there for a week.
Yeah, and I'll look at the splits and everything too, but Bryson Stott hasn't been as great as what you need offensively, and Edmundo Sosa's done well.
He did great. He gave them a lot to think about. And the thing I've been thinking about with Stott is, and I hate this thought, and Tyler, feel free to chime in because I know you're a huge Stott guy. His first year he came up, he hit 235-ish, in between 235 and 240, whatever it was. It's very similar to what he is now. Last year, he kind of excelled. And what was it, 286 he ended up hitting on the year, something around that.
Right.
And it was the patience at the plate. It was waiting for the right pitches to attack. It was working the pitcher. You saw this stride that was like amazing. And you were like, oh, man, like this guy might be like better than we all thought. Now he's kind of back down to his first year. So the question I hate that I've been asking myself is last year an outlier?
Right. And okay,
I don't have the answer to that. I don't think it is, but it's been on my mind.
So it was in May. I knew there was a sequence where it felt like Bryson Stott was back. It was from the Toronto series into the Miami series where he had 6 RBIs between the 2 games. And he had, in May, 2 home runs, 16 RBIs. And it felt like that was the turning point because that was around the injury to JT. And we saw Bryson kind of emerging a little bit. But then he's kind of dropped off since then. And I agree with you. It's one of those, I think because of the 5th starter, the bullpen, the left field's question marks that we've had, we haven't talked as much about it.
Sure, and everybody kind of believed that he would come back.
Exactly,
so
and I think he's someone that people just adore and love.
Yeah, it's
that they're like, he can do no wrong.
Stott will come around.
Yeah, but
and he gives you
July,
great defense on top of it.
In the month of July already, you look and he's got, in his 47 at-bats, he's got 9 hits, he's got 1 double, 0 triples, he's got 1 home run, 4 RBIs.
Yeah, it's bad.
And 11 strikeouts. His July splits, a 191, 250, 277 with a .527 OPS.
Yeah, Tyler, you can chime in a second here. The thing that's weird to me about Bryson is I think he's kind of stuck between, he's almost in that Castellanos spot where like he may be thinking too much and it's affecting what pitches he attacks. And I mean that because he's going to have a career, he's going to blow away his career high in walks. He's actually hitting lefties better than he is righties. He's decreased his K rate, but the results aren't there. So I think he's mentally in a spot where he's like, all right, I just think he might be one of these guys that needs to get back to like not thinking as much, kind of like Castellanos was. So like, I don't know where I'm at with Stott. I keep thinking he's going to come out of it, but it keeps kind of going the opposite way. 1
home run, 8 RBIs against lefties, 5 home runs, 34 RBIs against righties. And the numbers continue to show, but he's also had obviously way more at-bats versus righties, but still it's a big difference from what he's seen.
All right, Tyler.
Weston, Mr.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is my guy.
Yeah, this is your guy.
This
so where are you at with him?
I think it's really come down to something super simple. Like his first full year in the bigs in 2022. Now, I'm going to give you numbers. They're not entirely like, they're not just like stats, right? They're the run value conversation that I like to have. We all know what Bryson Stott's problem was in 2022. He couldn't hit fastballs, especially elevated fastballs. Pitchers were just taking him up in the zone. He was obliging. He had a negative 14 run value on fastballs in 2022. That's abysmal.
Yeah.
In 2023, it fell to negative 2, which is significantly closer to league average. Now, the inverse of that is he was hitting sinkers at a 5 run value, which means, obviously they're not the same pitch, but relatively, a higher velocity type pitch he was hitting, well. But even at the -2 with the four-seam fastball, his hard hit percentage was up to 42%. It was up from 33 to 42. So last year he took strides in the thought process of he's getting on top of fastballs. He's staying and he's barreling more pitches. He's staying on top of fastballs, and he's driving more more to the gap. He's driving more. He's never going to be a 15, 20 home run guy, I don't think. But his hard hit percentage went way up. This year, that elevated fastball is giving him problems again. He's not swinging and missing a ton like you brought up, Jamie. His K rate on fastballs is 16%. His whiff rate is under 14% on fastballs. He is not swinging and missing a lot, which is a positive, but the contact has been a lot of weak contact. He's down to 28% hard hit percentage on fastballs this year. That run value's at -4 already. There's still 60-some-odd games left to play, and that's taking into account that he's not an everyday player this year. It's pretty straightforward what is happening with Bryson Stott, and it's just a matter of his at-bats look uncomfortable against elevated fastballs, and you can tell he's popping up a ton. That's the straightforward part. The less than straightforward part is I don't know how he fixes it this year.
Yeah.
I think there's a return to form at some point. I just don't think it happens. At this point, I'm thinking more along the lines of getting right for 2025.
Well, that begs the question of the playoffs.
I know, and I feel like he's got middle child syndrome. Like, Bryson Stott is one of the players that when you look at this team, he's not one of the established vets of a Trey, Bryce, Kyle, where you know what you're going to get out of him. He's not one of the young guys like a Johan, Weston. I'll even put Brandon Marsh in that conversation where you're kind of still trying to get more out of them. Bryson Stott's that tweener. Like, he's really good, but then he's not always good consistently.
Well, defensively, he makes his case for staying on the field.
Exactly.
What was the comment you just put up from Casper there? It was, Stott has kind of irritated me all year here. So much love for him because of the daycare nonsense. All cute and cuddly, but man, he's awful in spots. He has been low-key kind of killing this team a little bit this year.
Yeah.
Luckily, he gives you great defense, but Edmundo Sosa did kind of give you a lot to think about. He was presented an opportunity with his team and ran with it. And I still don't know what he really is.
Yep.
I don't think he's an everyday player, but right now Bryson Stott isn't an everyday player. So I wonder how much platoon you'll see at the end of the year. We'll talk to Jim Salisbury about that. But one of the observations from the weekend,